On today's show, we've got an Eastern Conference season preview, including divisional breakdowns, projections, and we'll predict which 8 teams will make the Stanley Cup playoffs.
You're Locked On NHL, your daily podcast on the National Hockey League. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome inside this Thursday, September 25th edition of the Locked On NHL podcast. I'm Ross Levitan from the Locked On Senators podcast. Alongside Mike DiStefano, you can find him over at Locked On Maple Leafs. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com and win $300 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Apologies, missing yesterday. We're making up to it today. We've got double dip of the Locked On NHL podcast. Stay tuned a bit later on for more across the National Hockey League. We've got 2 shows, Mikey, until the regular season begins, so we figure we'll do an Eastern Conference season preview today, and next Wednesday we will get the Western Conference preview. Eastern Conference was a blast last season. You had the Alex Ovechkin goal chase. You had the Washington Capitals overall just having an incredible season, finishing first in the conference. What other storylines are you carrying from last season into this year for you?
Well, I guess a couple other storylines, like you had the 2 teams kind of get over the hump and make the playoffs, and the Ottawa Senators and the Montreal Canadiens. Can they continue to move onward and both fight and vie for a playoff spot again? Or was last year kind of a flash in the pan? And that's something that I guess we'll be watching. The Rangers are always a story. Our Rangers, whether or not they're a good team, a bad team, like I have no idea what the Rangers are. So that's a intriguing storyline for me. And the Bruins are an interesting team too. Like last year, the first time in a long time that the Bruins were horrendous. Is this the new Bruins, or was last year just a step back season? So I'm curious to see what they can do this year too.
Yeah, Columbus, a team that pushed hard at the end of the season, winning their last 6 straight games, but just fell short of the playoffs. They're young, they're fun. They could be a team that's knocking at the door next. I'm also going to be keeping a keen eye on the Detroit Red Wings because it feels like patience is starting to run thin. And once again, Steve Yzerman this offseason just nibbled around the edges, adding veterans from James Van Riemsdyk up front to Travis Hamonic and Jacob Bernard-Docker on the back end. They did, though, finally get a goalie in John Gibson. We'll see if he can be prime John Gibson or if those last couple of years in Anaheim is just the goalie that he's become, which is still decent, but not the level that he once was when he was leading the Anaheim Ducks into the playoffs consistently. But, Mikey, let's start. We'll do the Atlantic Division first, as we're both hosts of local Locked On Atlantic Division shows. And it's been the top 3 teams for years. What is it? Yeah. 8 straight years, it feels like, that it's been Tampa, Florida, and Toronto in any different order as the top 3 teams. Although Florida only finished 1 point ahead of Ottawa last year.
The last 3 years, it's been those teams. Boston was very much in there, Boston, like prior to that. But the last few years, it's been a 3-horse race for that top spot in the division. Really, for all 3 of those divisional spots, the last 3 years, it's either been Tampa, Toronto, or it's been Florida. Boston's been in there a little bit, I suppose. But
I think what I meant to say is playoffs for those 3 teams. But you're right. Yeah, Boston was in the mix.
Yeah, Boston's been in the mix there. Not no longer. I don't think that they're in the mix in the division anymore. I don't think that they'll be as bad as they were a season ago. But I don't view them as a playoff team. The 2 teams that really separated themselves in this division last year, like we've always been waiting. Okay, which one of Ottawa, Montreal, Buffalo, and Detroit, which one of those teams who've been rebuilding for the last 10 years, it seems like, is going to push through? Which one of those guys, those teams are going to push through and make the playoffs? So we had not 1, but 2 of those teams do it last year, as both of the wild card teams in the East came from the Atlantic Division, and it was Montreal and Ottawa. Can they do it again? Like, was last year just kind of a mirage? Was it an anomaly, or are they really, really pushing forward? And will both of those teams make the playoffs again? Will we see 5 teams come out of the Atlantic once again? I think it's possible. We certainly could see that happen, but I am curious, like, which of those 2 teams, because I think we're both in agreement that Toronto, Florida, Tampa, those guys are making the playoffs. That's going to be your top 3 teams, just like it's been each and every other year. It really is going to come down to, can Ottawa and Montreal make it in again? And where do you stand on that?
I think, and shocker, the host of Locked On Senators is high on the Sens, but the way they finished last season is what really gives me a lot of hope. March, when every game, Brady Tkachuk kept saying, this is a game 7 for us. I think they played an NHL record number of game 7s last year. We told Brady that when he joined us in the summer, and he kind of laughed it off and said, but that's what we needed to get over the hump. So all the talk in Ottawa is how experience of making the playoffs and getting to that big stage is fueling their fire going into this season. The difference between Ottawa and Montreal, Ottawa made their big offseason moves not this summer, but last, bringing in Linus Ullmark and insulating the core with veterans in David Perron, Michael Amadio, and Nick Jensen. This year, it was, okay, let's find the positions of need and just tinker a little bit. I really like Jordan Spence as a player. I think he's going to complement Tyler Clevin on the third pair really well. So I like that acquisition. But otherwise, it's internal growth is the name of the game for the Ottawa Senators. They need Tim Stützle to shoot the puck more. They need Brady Tkachuk to be healthy, as he's been his entire career up to this year when the Four Nations injury kind of lingered throughout the rest of the season. He was playing much lower than at 100% and still helping the team out, but finished with under 30 goals for the first time in 5 years. So can he get back to that 35, 40 goal scoring ability that he has shown in the past? 39 for Tim Stützle 3 years ago, and then 18 and 24. So they're going to need those key players to just elevate themselves a little more. I think that the Sens are closer to Toronto than Montreal is to Ottawa, personally. And I do think that Montreal, I've been on record at saying this, they've built an incredible prospect pool, and some of those guys are already making impacts in the NHL. But for me, this is going to be an adjustment year for Montreal, where they're not going to sneak up on anybody. I think Montreal slides into the 9th or 10th spot in the conference. But then after this season, Montreal is going to be a problem. But I do think, I don't think Lane Hudson's going to sneak up on anybody anymore. I think teams are going to game plan for him night in and night out. We'll see how he can battle, but I don't think we're going to see him take another step from what he had, 66 points last year. Yeah. I don't think he's getting to 70 this year. And I mean, a bit of his power play time might be cut into with the addition of Noah Dobson, but that's where I was going to say, like, Montreal made their splashy moves this offseason. They're expecting big things from Zachary Bolduc bringing in up front, and Dobson. That's a key player in your middle six, key player on your back end, but they're betting big on Noah Dobson because he was bad last year for his standards. 2 years ago, he's incredible, but last year, bad. So I'm curious to see it. They need Montembeault to be as good as he was last year, and I just don't believe it. I think when they're going to be the problem, I believe they will, Jacob Fowler will be the goalie that does that, and he's still getting his feet wet at the pro level. Turned pro, had some good games, some bad games with Laval last year going into the playoffs. But yeah, that's where I stand on that situation. I do like Montreal. I do like their players. But I do think that they're a year away from being a real problem in the East.
I should clip that and send it to all your Locked On Sens listeners.
Yeah,
I do like Montreal. Yeah, I should clip that one for you.
That's it. 1 second.
Yeah, that's all you need. 1 second clip. Yeah, it's interesting because I don't feel that way. I think Montreal, I really like what they've built. I think that this is a team that's going to compete for a playoff spot. I think they're going to make the playoffs. I have them as one of my 8 teams in the East, claiming one of those wild card spots. I've got them over Ottawa. I do, and I'm not just saying this to be a hater. I've got them over the Ottawa Senators. I just, when I look at that team, you've been able to build. I Noah Dobson, yes, he was a big addition this year, but like Zach Bolduc, like that's an insulating move. Like that's a third liner that they're bringing in just to give you a little bit.
You want Patrick Laine playing top 6 minutes at 5-on-5 this year?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Yeah, Patrick Laine is definitely going to be in the top 6. We want to play a third line checker.
Well, I'll put him as a power play specialist. That's the only place where he produces.
Well, sure, but he's certainly capable of top 6.
I don't know.
If not, then what's the point of even having him on your team?
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. And I don't believe Kirby Dach is a player until he proves it. The
No.
injuries have battled. Like, they do not have a second line center, in my opinion. I think that's a huge difference where Ottawa's got 3 centermen.
Well, who was their
would,
second line center last year?
You'd have to remind me.
Well, they didn't have one. Is my point, and they still made the playoffs. Like that's
Okay.
like they had the exact same lineup.
Well,
as
I guess it
they're
was
throwing out
Christian.
now.
At times, was it not Christian Dvorak?
Was a second line center? Not really. I mean, Christian
More
Dvorak
third, yeah.
was, more of a third line guy. If Kirby Dach can stay healthy, which is a big if, the guy has played very little hockey since getting to Montreal. He's very capable of being a second line center if he can, remain in the lineup. But if not, like Alex Newhook, what can Alex Newhook be? They've got a lot of cap space. I mean, this is a team that that has come out and said they're looking to add. They are looking to add another forward at some point, a center to add to insulate in behind Nick Suzuki. So I don't think Kirby Dach's going to be, the number 2 guy there for very long. They'll be looking to add someone else into that mix to kind of beef up that top 6. But in the meantime, I still think this is a playoff team. I love what's going on their blue line. Bringing in Noah Dobson, bringing in Alex Carrier, getting him extended. Mike Matheson's coming off a monster season. You mentioned Lane Hudson, Cade Gooley, 2 young players, up and coming, very solid defensive pairing. I just think that they've got really good balance and lineup depth throughout their lineup. And if you can get some internal growth from a Uri Slafkovsky, you got Ivan Demidov coming into the group now. Owen Beck is trying to make his way into the NHL at this point. Like, you got Josh Anderson and Brendan Gallagher, Jake Evans, their 4th line. That's a very talented 4th line. Very talented 4th line. Just goes to show kind of the depth that this Montreal Canadiens team has. I like Montreal. I've got them as one of my 8 playoff teams in the East.
So you like their depth more than Ottawa's depth?
I think I do, yeah.
Okay.
I really
the Sens are running a 3rd line of Shane Pinto, Ridley Gregg, and Fabian Zetterlund in all likelihood. I'd take that over the Habs' 3rd line any day of the week.
I mean, it's splitting hairs, but like, which 4th line would you take?
I would probably say it's a wash, and I'd probably say it matters the least.
Wow. I don't know if that's necessary. The 1st line of Caulfield, Suzuki, Slafkovsky.
I mean, Stützle, Kachuk, and Claude Giroux. I'm still rolling with my boys there. And then your second line. I mean, the Cousins, Perron, Batherson line was incredible down the stretch for the Ottawa Senators. It was at times their best line. Like, Kirby Dach played. I think he still he played 57 games this past season, and he had 4 more points than Dylan Cousins had after being traded to Ottawa at the deadline. So, I mean, we're not splitting hairs here between these 2 players. Like, Ottawa's center depth, I would take over Montreal's. Ottawa's goaltending, I would take over Montreal's. And I would take their decor top to bottom as well. So that's why I have Ottawa ahead of Montreal. I do love Demidov. I'm still
no shot. You're taking Ottawa's decor. No shot. Jake Sanderson's probably the best defenseman of the bunch, but there's no shot top to bottom you're going with the Senators decor.
Are you? Yeah, I absolutely am. I think the Sens have one of the most balanced decors in the league. They've got their offensive guys on the left. They got their shutdown guys on the right. I still think Artem Zub's extremely underrated league-wide. Absolutely, I am. I don't think that's a hot take. I actually don't. The Habs are dressing Arbor Jackeye, an enforcer in their top 6.
Arbor Jackeye. Hey, Arbor Jackeye is not. He's not as bad as people say. I mean, you watch him play a little bit. He's got a little bit of skill. Little bit. Okay. He's not just a face puncher.
Okay. Anytime he's on the ice, I'm happy. Let's put it that way.
Either way, I mean, you're talking about the
what impressed you? Was it the one goal in 70 games, or was it the dash 13? Yeah. Was it the 46% shot share?
You're talking about the 6th defenseman on the team here.
Okay, so we can talk about the number 1 defenseman if you want. You said it.
Why don't we come back and let's take the 12 D-man and let's power rank the 12.
All right, let's go, and then we'll get to the Metropolitan Division. Hey, I'm going to clip all this for your Leaf fan listeners. Let's go. You're listening to Locked On NHL, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. It is America's #1 sports book. You can get in on the action over at FanDuel, and the NFL season is underway as well, so get ready for kickoff. Can't miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Let's head over to FanDuel, where you can get in on everything from futures, all the popular bets, and it is all available for you on FanDuel. Pulling it up right now, our friends over at FanDuel, they know what the playoff picture looks like, and to make the playoffs, the Senators are minus 170, the Habs are minus 110. So put that into your thought process here as we break down the Eastern Conference. Are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. Welcome back. Locked On NHL, Locked On Off the Rails, as we're getting into a discussion here. And I'm assuming Mikey's been power ranking this whole time the defensemen on the Senators and the Montreal Canadiens. Hey, why does Vegas have Ottawa at such better odds than Montreal to make playoffs?
Vegas. Oh,
it must be the big market appeal of Ottawa. It must be that.
Must be. Hey, Vegas isn't always right,
No,
Not always right.
They aren't, but our good friends over at FanDuel know a thing or two. Don't make me argue you that Jake Sanderson's better than Lane Hudson.
No, Jake Sanderson's the best of the bunch. I'll give Jake Sanderson the #1 spot, but then
when you're splitting hairs on the 6 and you're saying that doesn't matter, would you not say that whoever has the best defenseman matters the most?
Not necessarily. No.
Oh, okay. So it only matters when it makes sense for you.
No, but like when you look at and they have 2 of the top 3 on Montreal, it kind of cancels it out.
You think so?
Yeah, I think that Noah Dobson and Lane Hudson are better defensemen than Chabot and Zub. Yes.
Yeah. No, Chabot's the second best defenseman for sure.
Okay, and I would take Dobson and Lane Hudson over both of those guys.
I would definitely put Lane Hudson at #2.
Yeah.
What gives you? Are you looking 2 years back for Noah Dobson? Because Chabot was better in every aspect last year.
I mean, I'm looking at the bodies of their careers, not just 2 years ago or not just last year, but like cumulatively over the last 5 years. I think Dobson has been the better defenseman over a guy like Thomas Chabot.
Sure, but I also don't think I think you could argue either way. I think it's pretty close.
Okay, we can flip a coin on that one if you'd like, but
okay. So who's the third best defenseman on the Habs? Caden Gooley?
Mike Matheson, probably.
Okay. I'm taking Zub over Matheson. And I bet you Habs fans would agree. He's the whipping boy on the back end for the Montreal Canadiens.
Mike Matheson was? Didn't Matheson have like a massive season last year?
31 points, -6.
Hang on.
2 years ago he did. He had 62. It was still dash 24.
2 years ago. Well, the team stunk. I mean,
yeah.
It's minus. Come on, man. Come on, man.
No. Just interesting when you're that deep in double digits one way or another.
Yeah, I'll take Mike Matheson for sure. I'll take Matheson.
Okay. So that's where we disagree. Couple coin flips. Let's know in the comments as we got to move on here. But who are you riding with? The Habs or the Sens to finish higher in the standings? You want to do goalies now?
No.
You want to do goalies?
We'll give you Linus Allmark. We'll give you that one.
I'd take Marilainen over Samuel Montembeault. Maybe a bit tongue in cheek.
Get out of here. All your credibility out the window at that company.
No, hey, he had the second best save percentage in the National Hockey League last year. Third, because I think Jack.
He played 6 games?
Not 12. Double it up. So my team that's in instead of Montreal is the Columbus Blue Jackets, because I really like what they're building. I think this is another step forward for them. I think that they obviously had a bit of a team of destiny feel last season with the tragic passing of Johnny Gaudreau before the season. But they've just had guys step up. This Kirill Marchenko is a player. If Kent Johnson can take another step, I really like what Columbus is building. I wasn't the biggest fan of the Charlie Coyle addition, but you can see what they're thinking. They're like, okay, how much defensive zone responsibility do we want Adam Fantilli to have? Or can we take off a bit of pressure there, have a veteran centerman to insulate him even more than just Sean Monahan, and go from there? So what are your thoughts on the Columbus Blue Jackets as a team that was knocking on the door last offseason or last regular season?
I got them as, the team to make it also.
So you got them over Ottawa. You're outrageous.
Yeah, I got them over the Ottawa Senators. Absolutely,
Okay.
I do. I mean,
and let's remember that it took the Leafs 2 overtime wins in 6 games to beat Ottawa in the playoffs last year.
To what, Ottawa?
To beat Ottawa in the playoffs.
To what, Ottawa?
You heard me. You heard me loud and clear.
They beat Ottawa. Exactly.
Yeah. And they beat them down in game 1 when 14 guys on Ottawa were playing their first ever playoff game, and give them credit. It was a good series, but 3 overtimes, I think, shows the series was pretty damn close.
Sure.
But now they're out of the playoffs.
Building. I like what Columbus is building. Yeah, I got them out of the playoffs.
All right.
I mean, every team, every year, someone falls, someone rises, someone disappoints. Yeah. I mean, for reason I look at Ottawa and I just think, not sure. Not sure about the Ottawa Senators. But I do like what the Columbus Blue Jackets are bringing to the table. You mentioned it. They've got a bunch of those young players who are really coming into their own, like Marchenko. Yeah, he's a dog. Fantilli. I think Fantilli's going to have a monster season, monster breakout year for Adam Fantilli. And if Kent Johnson can get it going too, like those are just 3 young players that I think they can really build around. We'll see continue to have play at a high level like he did a year ago. Bringing in Charlie Coyle was big for the bottom 6. Bringing in Miles Wood, big for their 4th line, obviously gives you a little bit more depth there. And then just the blue line, you like what you got in Zach Werenski. They claimed Dante Fabro off waivers, and he turned into a top 4 stud for them last year. And Provorov and Severson, pretty good second pair. So I like what they got cooking. And I mean, talk about Merrilainen, have best save percentages in the league. How about Jack Reeves? One of the best save percentages in the league, man. Like if this kid's legit, which he very well could be. Like that's the difference for me. That's the separator. If they actually have a goalie, because last year Merzlikins was a bum, and they damn near made the playoffs, even with bad goaltending for 90% of the season. If Jack Reeves is legit, league average or better, this is 100% to playoff. I think with a full season, if he can be what he was a season ago, I think he's there. And I think this team will be there come April.
Okay. You know how funny that logic is, though, saying that about Greaves and then discounting Merrilainen?
Well, I just can't say that. I can't say it about you. Can't say it about
I know.
But Merrilainen's not going to play. Jack Greaves is actually going to play, though.
Well, Linus Ullmark has a career high, 49 starts, so he's going to play. It's just a matter of how much. But we're past that. I am titling this episode, Let me look at
Merrilainen's last. Let me look at his game. Go ahead. I'll look at his game.
Take care. Even one of his losses out of he had 8 wins in 12 games. One of his losses was a 1-0 overtime loss where Ovechkin scored in OT. So he was that close to a 4th shutout in 12 games. But we do have more Metro Division wrap up to get to, or preview, I should say, because Jack Hughes missed way too much of last season. The NHL is better when Jack Hughes is there, but what about the Devils? They're curious to me. And that Hudson River battle between them and the New York Rangers, I got one team in and one team out. But who is it? Metro continues. Next, you're listening to Locked On NHL, your team every day. Welcome back, Locked On NHL, your team every day. Shout out to the everydayers making us your first listen. Mikey, what was Levi Merrilainen's last NHL game? How many goals did he let in?
Well, if you look at his last 4 games, I suppose, 916 save percentage, not bad, decent.
I asked you a specific question. What did he do in his last game?
I can't tell. I can't see it. I have no idea what we're talking about.
Shut out. Yeah.
Well, if he was so good, why did they keep him up there?
Contracts. And they finally moved away from Anton Forsberg. Credit to him getting a good contract with LA. But here we go. Habs fans could say, though, Jakub Dobeš played great for them during the season. They did insulate him by bringing in Capo Kakinen on a one-way contract. But those those one-way contracts only matter if you're worried about getting claimed on waivers. I don't think they'd have any problem at the end of camp if Dobesh deserves the spot to put Kakinen on waivers. He played in the AHL for all of last season. The Metropolitan Division, though, had the best record in the Eastern Conference in the Washington Capitals last year. Carolina, New Jersey, the top three. And then we talked about Columbus just missing out on that final playoff spot. Then the Rangers, Islanders, Penguins, and Flyers. Is it going to be the same top three as last year?
See, I do think that those three teams make it.
Okay.
Whether or not it's the exact same three it just really depends on what Columbus can do, I guess. Like that'd be the team in the Metro who I have making it as the fourth team. So I've got 4-4 this year. I have all three of those teams making it, though. I don't think it's going to finish the same way. Like I think that Washington maybe takes a bit of a step back, and one of New Jersey or Carolina will put themselves in pole position in the Metro. I think last year was a bit of not that it was a Cinderella run for Washington, but so many things happened in a positive way, broke their way. I think that they're really chasing the OV record, and that kind of catapulted them into first place. But then once that record was achieved, there's a bit of a stench to the Washington Capitals, and even going into the playoffs, like I know they won a round, but then second round didn't see a whole lot from them. So, it's going to be Ovi's last season, I believe. It sounds like it's going to be the last year for Ovi.
Paper tickets, you see that? For the
I did see that, yeah, which makes it feel like that even more. Like, can they rally around that? Like it's his last ride, it's his last dance. Can they rally around that? Perhaps. And I think they'll make the playoffs, don't get me wrong. But whether or not they're a 111 point, division leading team again, I'm not so sure. I probably would rather place my wagers on Carolina or New Jersey winning the Metro this year.
I even thought about leaving New Jersey out. And then I was like, wait, they made the playoffs last year without Jack Hughes.
Yeah.
You can't have them out. They're making the playoffs for sure. And that means the Rangers are out for me, man. The Rangers are out. They're that 9-10, kind of similar to where they finished this year. And we'll see if they can use that trimmed fat, if you will, to be a better team. Obviously, midseason getting rid of Jacob Trouba, and then in the offseason moving on from Chris Kreider. So there is kind of that new blood, new enthusiasm. But how many years in a row can we say this is the year Alexis Lafreniere really takes a step forward? Because it feels like he's even being passed in his own organization by Will Cooley, who they're super high on. Like, at some point, we're going to have to put the brakes on that. They still have Igor Shesterkin, though, which means they still have a chance for sure.
Oh, 100%. It's a good team top to bottom. What'd you make of them naming JT Miller as captain? I thought that was a bit of a strange. No BS. You didn't mind it?
I think it was a bit expected for Chris Drury to be that excited to bring him in. Like, who else was it going to be? Adam Fox?
I mean, you could have done Adam Fox.
Aaron, I guess, but he's going in the final year of his contract.
Zibanejad's been there for a long time. Maybe just
too long, Rangers fans would say.
Don't have a captain, perhaps, but Fox would be a pretty good option, I would think. I don't know. Like, it just, with the amount of baggage that JT Miller comes with, it's interesting how he gets there and right away you give him the C. Where there's been some guys who've been in that building for a long time, they decided not to. Maybe that says a little bit more about the guys who are there than it does about JT Miller.
JT Miller was there first.
Go with him.
He just went on a sabbatical.
He was there first, but not with this core. Like, this core wasn't there at the time, right?
Dude, he was great with them last year, though, man. 35 points in 32 games.
Yeah, no, I know. When he ended up getting traded there, it was a good spot, really good spot for JT Miller.
Yeah,
but I don't know. For me, it was just like, man, the baggage when he left Vancouver. It's like to sit there and be like, yeah, that guy's going to be good in the locker room. That guy's going to be our captain, and be so sure of it after just a couple of months. I don't know. We'll see how it works out. But if this team is as bad as they were a year ago, and JT Miller's the captain, I watched a lot of Vancouver games last year. When the Canucks were good, things were good. Things were rolling. He was great. When they were bad, he's not like it's usually the team does as well as he does, essentially, is what it seemed like. And, he's a heart and soul type of guy. And maybe that's good to have in a captain, I suppose. Just seemed like a bit of an odd, quick trigger decision to me.
Yeah, they got some big boys coming up though, like Juuso Parssinen, Adam Edstrom, Brennan Othman. Like they've got this young group that they might not be in the top 10 prospects in the National Hockey League, that sort of thing, but they are all like enormous human beings. And I like building a big bottom six. Like you don't want to get pushed around when those guys are out there. And then if JT Miller can be Rempe, he'll be in that lineup. But yeah, he's a monster for sure. So to me, it's like, how much of a difference is Gavrikov going to make? He was one of the big offseason signings, maybe the most expensive defenseman. Now they do lose one of the other big contracts that got signed. It was an RFA with Keandre Miller going to Carolina, but is he that much of an upgrade? He'll certainly be steadier, I would say, and maybe complement Adam Fox a little bit better, because they're going to need a rebound season from Adam Fox, and I'm assuming that he will. Like the downfall for Adam Fox for me is much overblown. I think he's still going to be a top 10 defenseman in the league this season.
Yeah, I totally agree. I'm not worried about Adam Fox, but Carson Soucy, Will Borgen, Urho Vakanainen as your other three guys. It's like, that blue line's not as deep as it once used to be.
No, like I don't mind Carson Soucy though. He's a decent player. No,
he's okay. Yeah, I like him better on the third pair than the second pair. I'll say that. But we'll see how it all plays out. It's jarring kind of looking at this, because a couple of years ago that was a very deep, good blue line, and now there's a lot of question marks on that blue line outside of Adam Fox.
More questions than answers for the New York Rangers. And I'm going to throw a dark horse in here. I don't think they make the playoffs at all, but the Philadelphia Flyers are going to be a fun team to watch. Like, they've added fun players. When you pair Zegras there with Michkov, I think that could be a nice little move. I know they overpaid Dvorak, but they wanted to get him on a shorter term deal. I still think there's more growth to be had from Tyson Forster, who I've been a big fan of for a long time. Last season was horrific for the Philadelphia Flyers, and their goaltending to me is not much improved despite swapping out Fedotov for Dan Vladar. Erson's going to have to be an NHL starter if they even want to sniff, like a good NHL starter, a 9-10 save percentage.
Is that the worst goalie tandem in the league, though? Like, Erson,
it's up there. It's up there. Top of my head, I can't think of one that I would less rather.
That's like if the Flyers do believe.
Oh, Pittsburgh. Jari and Shilov.
I don't know, man. Like, Jari, at least you've seen good goaltending. Even with Shilov's, actually. Shilov's is a great goaltender. He was unbelievable in the playoffs last year in the AHL. Played well for the Canucks a couple of years ago in the playoffs, too. So I
got one other than Utah.
I would take that.
Vejmelka and Vanacek, Utah.
I don't mind Vejmelka. I'll take Vejmelka over both of these guys.
Okay.
So, I think it's probably the worst tandem in the league.
Yeah. I don't like goalies to catch with their right hand. I just find it weird.
Why not? Isn't that normal?
No, normal's catching left. That's normal.
Oh, yeah.
Backwards,
right.
Yeah. Don't like that. Yeah. That's Vejmelka. So he can put up whatever numbers he wants, and I'll still look at him side-eyed. It's like a lefty quarterback, right? It's just like, what are you doing?
Yeah, it just looks a little funny. Looks a little funny.
So your 8 teams to make the playoffs are?
I got Washington, Carolina, New Jersey, Columbus, and then Toronto, Tampa, Florida, and the Montreal Canadiens.
All right. I'm going Tampa, Florida, Toronto, Carolina, New Jersey, Washington, and then Ottawa, Columbus as the 2 wild card teams. We'll do the West next week. We'll see how far off the rails we get in that one, because I was going to title this season preview, and now I'm just going to say who's more likely to make the playoffs, the Ottawa Senators or the Montreal Canadiens. And the two teams, they weren't separated by that much last year. There was a game in late March or early April that felt like, oh man, like the Habs were 3 points back. Ottawa needed that one, and they finally beat Montreal. It was the first time they beat the Habs last season. So I'm curious to see how it all plays out, man. It's going to be a lot of fun. Senators with 97 points last year, and the Montreal Canadiens finished with 91. So 6 points separated the two. You think they'll make it up? I think Ottawa's closer to Toronto at the end of this season for third in the Atlantic Division. Ottawa finished 1 point behind Florida for third in the Atlantic last season. And we know, and I heard the boys talking about it on Overdrive, the Panthers would take a second wild card spot going into the playoffs as long as they knew they'd be healthy for game one. The regular season is an 82-game warm-up for them. For the real deal.
It means nothing.
Like, we didn't even talk about the Panthers, dude. We just know they're going to be sick. Like,
I know, right? Defending Cup champions, or to previewing the Eastern Conference. They've won the East 3 times in a row. We don't need to talk about them. People know about the Panthers.
I think at least myself, when I look at the Eastern Conference, and same when we look at the West, like the fun storylines are who's in, who's out. Like, it's not, hey, is Florida going to finish first, second, or third? Well, they're going to be favorites in round one no matter what.
Florida or the field to come out of the East this year?
The field. I think at some point games played catches up to you.
Might take Florida.
Over the field? Are you looking like even odds? Like what? Like minus 110 plus.
Well, 110? Like if you had to take a team, like who you taking? Like the Florida Panthers.
Yes, but I really think that Tampa's got one more in them. I think they got one more run with the Hedman, Kucherov. That
Kucherov needs to score. That guy hasn't scored a playoff goal in like 30 games. It's wild.
And McDonough, you could throw in that, like the older core of the Tampa Bay Lightning. I think they got one more in them.
Yeah, it might be getting a little too old. Might be
we'll see.
A little gray in the beard. A little gray in the
we'll see.
Those guys now.
We'll see. Hey, looking forward to a great season in the Atlantic Division. The Metropolitan is certainly going to be an exciting one. I think the Islanders would say that, hey, look, we're different. They are going to be more fun to watch. I might even tune into some Islanders games. You see that back check from Matthew Schaefer in his first game?
I did.
So sick, dude. He's going to be awesome. And, couldn't happen to a better kid. Obviously, everything that he's been through and to come through and get this type of recognition right off the bat, he's going to be a top 4D from day one. So the Islanders are different. They're going to be more fun, but we'll see how much of that fun Patrick Waugh takes out of them and makes them play just structured defense first hockey. Lots to get to next week when we do the Western Conference. For now, we pass it over to a twofer on Thursday, as we missed out on Wednesday, just some scheduling conflicts, and we'll be back next Wednesday to break down the West. Let us know in the comments your 8 teams out of the Eastern Conference that you got making the Stanley Cup playoffs. For Mike DiStefano, I'm Ross Levitan. This has been another edition of the Locked On NHL podcast, your team every day.